It's been 6 months since we were able to watch a movie in the theater, and we finally got to watch one at the Alamo Drafthouse. It was the new Mutants. It's an X-Men. It's in the X-Men universe, and so super stoked, obviously.
Yes, it was a surreal experience, but it was good to be back, even though this movie is...
not so good.
Yes.
So in our real take, we'll let you know, guys, why this actually is not a movie you should risk going to theaters to watch.
The long-awaited New Mutants is directed by Josh Boone, and it stars a cast of mostly young adult actors, including Macy Williams, Blue Hunt, Anya Taylor-Joy,
and joined by Charlie Heaton of Stranger Things fame. You have Henry Zaga from, I'll be honest, I'd never seen him before, but then you also have Alice Braga from Predators.
That's right, who plays Dr. Reyes. So this attempt at taking a storyline that exists within the X-Men universe and giving it sort of a horror makeover has existed since 2017. This movie is long overdue. It has been delayed for several reasons. I did read online, for example, that the movie, faced delays because they didn't want it released alongside with Deadpool 2, for example, or some other, related movies. Another reason is because some of the actors complained that the movie didn't really have quite enough of a strong identity, and they wanted some more horror elements in the movie. And some of the revisions that they wanted to make, they didn't end up making after all. And what you got was a movie that was kind of all over the place and very messy. For one thing, the movie to me felt very rushed.
Yes.
And I think that the editing was a big problem, right?
Yeah, it got Jason Voorhees to death, man. It's so disjointed.
Yes, and the thing is that it sort of felt like you were watching many movies in one. I felt like I was watching The Breakfast Club. I felt like I was watching One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at times, or some weird psychiatric ward movie, right?
Yeah,
with some mental patients.
I immediately thought of A Nightmare on Elm Street, the Dream Warriors movie that had all those kids in that psychiatric center, and they had all the special abilities when they're dreaming. So, I mean, decent ideas, good premise, but like I said, the editing really bogged it down. It felt fast-paced, rushed, and everything you said about it.
And then at times I felt like I was watching an attempt at a Guillermo del Toro horror film with this crazy horror imagery, that kind of came on towards the end of the movie. And I kind of like that horror imagery, And then you also have traces of like romantic, teenage movie elements in here too. It just felt like packed with all of these different influences, and I just wish that they had really cemented one of them, particularly the horror elements. They didn't go full throttle with the horror.
Yes, and it fell flat for me as well, and very tropey throughout, very, very 80s feel, which I thought could have worked for the movie had they fleshed a lot of stuff out, like you said. For example, I felt the protagonist, she had an interesting struggle, which tied into the plot of the movie. They could have fleshed that out more. They could have fleshed out her power set a little better. They could have fleshed out the group's dysfunctional dynamic better. Just a lot of things, like you said, just crammed in here.
A lot of plot holes, right? Not enough information about the characters to really make for a movie in which you really are invested with these characters and you care about them, right?
Yeah, so much potential. And then what also didn't help this movie was the dialogue, which I thought at times was very corny. I mean, the acting wasn't terrible, and there were a couple actors like Maisie Williams and Charlie Heaton who I thought did a decent job. Like, he threw a Kentucky accent. I liked it. You didn't like it as much as inconsistent, right? But
yeah, I just thought the accents all around were kind of just, I don't know, inconsistent.
Yeah. Like Rasputin, she's supposed to be Russian, and then you have Taylor-Joy throwing that Russian accent, a little inconsistent. I thought she did a good job of portraying a kind of real mean, witchy kind of person, which, good on her part as far as her acting, but the character I thought was a little too 80s tropey bully.
Overbearing and annoying. Yeah, you know what? And I did enjoy the coming of age sort of elements to this movie, and I thought that there were some really good ideas in here, just not well executed. Like, I thought that for once we had a superhero, X-Men movie that kind of went in a different direction, but it just wasn't executed well. And I also didn't like the way that they shoved the message of the movie down our throats, and they attempt to build this metaphor throughout the movie with fear and trauma, and again, a little too much, but that's the way that I felt.
Yeah. So to wrap up this segment, I just want to say that this is Exhibit A of some up-and-coming talented actors and some good efforts being wasted in a movie that didn't really do well enough with it. I know we haven't really touched on Blue Hunt's acting. I know she's young. I don't want to be too harsh, but I wasn't that impressed with her acting. I didn't think it was terrible, but I guess maybe not what I was expecting from a protagonist.
Yeah, nobody was particularly compelling acting-wise, but you know what? Just for the sake of saying something positive here about the movie, I am gonna say that actually I did enjoy some of the relationships and camaraderie with the young mutants, you know, amongst each other. And you did get a little bit of flashbacks, you know, that told you or revealed some of the traumas that they have to overcome as individual young mutants. You know, and so, and then I did feel that as the movie progressed, it got a little more exciting. Some of that visual, you know, horror imagery was, you know, nice to look at. But that's about it, you know, not much else.
So with the New Mutants, I have to say that when I was watching it, it really screamed B-movie to me, which I thought was a travesty considering the actors, the premise. They could have done so much more with that, the social dynamic. But that's what happens when you get a movie whose, I think, soul actually was edited out of this, such as backstory. Again, more character relationships that could have been fleshed out. And then scenes that ultimately thread the plot together to make it more fluid and more digestible. I mean, the only saving grace for this movie for me was some of the acting and the action sequences toward the climax. And for all of this, I'll give it 3 reels out of 5. I want to give it fewer, but it wasn't trash. It was just some trash.
I am utterly surprised by your real rating because your reaction was not very good after the movie. I thought it was going to be lower, honestly.
It's because we compare it to a certain movie we saw in the past. And I was like, is it that bad?
We need to get over that. We need to get over the We need to start fresh again. Okay, so all right, so I see where you're coming from if we're comparing it to The Nun. Okay, so I will say this movie is definitely better than The Nun. I personally enjoyed it more than Dark Phoenix, and I enjoyed it more than X-Men 3. I was set on my reel rating being 2.5 reels, and so I'm gonna stick with it. Yeah, like I thought, but I wasn't comparing it to The Nun.
I thought you'd give it. Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
No, like I think it's like half. It should be, you know, 2.5 out of 5. That's what I'm gonna give it. I thought you were going to give it 2, quite honestly.
Okay, okay. I'm with you. From here on in, we are obliterating the fact that the Nun is the standard at 2.5. So that is out the window. So now let me revise. This is the first time we're going to revise a rating.
Okay.
Nun out the window. I will give this movie 2.5 reels because that's what my heart says. This is a 2.5 reel movie.
Go with your gut.
2.5 reels. All right, so that's it, folks. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up this review. Like I said, don't waste your money. Wait till it goes to streaming. If you disagree, though, and you did watch it at the theater, definitely let us know in the comments below what you thought of the movie, what was not very good, what was very good. Okay. And as we always like to ask, guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell button for notifications so that you'll know every single time we upload a video.
That's right, and don't forget to look us up on social media. We are on Facebook at Real Screeners and Instagram real.screeners.
And check us out next time for our Tenet review. Thank goodness I get to wash my mouth out with that movie.
Early access. Yes.
Right. Check us out for our next Real Take on Movies. It's been 6 months. 6 months?
It's been?
It's been 6 months.
And thank God I was back.